At the very beginning of the movie, we see Ray driving in the car with his wife, Joan, and their daughter Perry. The family is returning home after visiting Joan's parents, with whom they celebrated Thanksgiving. While Perry listens to music on her headphones, her parents discuss their troubled relationship. At one point, the tension in their conversation eases, and Ray suggests celebrating the holiday again at home, just the three of them, by ordering Perry's favorite pizza. However, Joan sharply responds that it's time to stop pretending. Their relationship is falling apart, and it's been obvious for a long time. She admits that she wants Ray to go back to being the man he used to be, rather than pretending to be someone he's not. Ray tries to explain that they're going through a tough period, but insists he still loves her deeply. Soon Perry's player runs out of batteries, and she mentions it with disappointment. Ray promises to buy new ones as soon as they stop at a store. A short while later, Perry asks to stop so she can use the restroom, and the family pulls into a gas station. Ray grabs a coffee for himself, a cola for Joan, batteries, and 2 small bottles of whiskey. At the register, the cashier informs him they don't accept cards. Ray counts the cash he finds in his pocket, but realizes it's not enough, and decides to skip the batteries. When he returns to the car, he tells Joan that the store didn't have any batteries in stock. Suddenly, Perry notices she has lost her compact mirror, and Joan goes to check if it was left in the restroom since the girl often carried it with her. Meanwhile, Ray inspects the car. While her parents are busy, Terry spots a balloon caught on some rebar at an abandoned construction site nearby. Intrigued, she walks toward it but is soon approached by a threatening dog. Backing away, Perry calls out for her father. Hearing her cry, Ray turns and sees his daughter standing at the edge of a deep pit. As the animal approaches her, he grabs a rock and throws it toward the dog, but at that moment, Perry loses her balance and falls. Without hesitation, Ray jumps in after her. After regaining consciousness from the fall, Ray initially fears Perry may have died, but he soon notices that she is alive. However, he and Joan suspect she has a fracture. Ray decides against calling an ambulance, fearing it would take too long to arrive, and suggests driving her to a hospital they recently passed on the road. Joan urges him to hurry, and they race down the highway, trying to overtake everyone in their way. During one of the overtakes, Ray notices an oncoming car in the opposite lane. He speeds up sharply, narrowly avoiding a collision and returning to their lane just in time. When they finally reach the hospital, Ray rushes to check them and then finds a huge waiting room queue. He tries to explain to the staff that his daughter needs urgent care, but they tell him they must wait their turn. In despair, Joan accuses Ray of being helpless and insists he take action. Ray tries again to get the doctor's attention but receives the same response: they have to wait. To calm himself, he buys a bottle of water from a vending machine and happens to notice a doctor passing an organ storage cooler to an emergency worker through the window. Some time later, Ray and Joan are called to fill out registration forms. The process is frustrating, with many unrelated questions, such as whether they are married and Ray's previous occupation. To their shock, the hospital staff member unexpectedly suggests enrolling Perry as an organ donor. Outraged, the parents firmly refuse, but the staff member persistently tries to convince them to reconsider, further aggravating them. After this, Ray is informed that his insurance does not cover treatment at this hospital. He offers to pay in cash, but the staff member explains that such payment is not accepted. She leaves, promising to discuss the matter with the administration. Some time later, a nurse arrives and takes them to a room. Shortly afterward, Dr. Bertram enters, asks the parents about what happened, and examines Perry. He instructs the nurse to give Perry pain relief and send her for an X-ray. Then, while discussing the situation with the parents, he recommends a CT scan due to the possibility of a head injury. The doctor explains that this procedure is necessary to rule out serious complications. Despite the high cost, Ray and Joan agree to the examination. Sitting next to his daughter, Ray suggests to Joan that they spend the night at a motel to rest and continue their journey the next day if their daughter is okay. However, soon a nurse comes to take Perry for a CT scan. The hospital staff informs them that only one accompanying person is allowed into that part of the building. Joan decides to go with Perry, leaving Ray in the waiting area, where he eventually falls asleep from exhaustion. When Ray wakes up several hours later, he realizes that neither Joan nor Perry has returned. Alarmed, he approaches the reception desk to ask how much longer the examination will take. To his shock, the staff informs him that his daughter is not in their patient database and that no children have undergone a CT scan that morning. Stunned, Ray begins frantically searching the hospital for his wife and daughter. During his search, he is stopped by a security guard, joined by a doctor who tries to clarify the situation. Ray explains what happened, but the doctor, after checking the day's patient records, insists that no such individuals were admitted. Spotting the nurse who earlier escorted his family, Ray points her out and demands answers. The nurse claims that Ray likely suffered a severe head injury and that his memory may be unreliable. Furious, Ray accuses the staff of hiding something and of taking his family away. Enraged, he lunges at the nurse, shouting that he wants the truth. The security guard tries to calm him by using pepper spray, while the nurse administers a sedative injection to Ray. He is then escorted to a private room to rest while the situation is sorted out. Once the security guard leaves, Ray, despite the effects of the sedative, gets up from the couch. Feeling dizzy, he tries to open the door but finds it locked. Desperate to escape, he rummages through the medical cabinets and finds several syringes of adrenaline. After injecting himself multiple times, Ray feels a surge of energy. Wrapping a piece of cloth around his hand, he punches through the glass on the door to unlock it. Although the sedative is still affecting him, making his vision blurry, Ray begins searching the hospital for his family, peering into every room. In one room, he spots a doctor who earlier posed as a nurse and accompanied his daughter to the CT scan. Suddenly, a security guard appears and Ray, wasting no time, tries to flee. Reaching the service exit, he topples a trash bin to slow the guard down. To his horror, human remains spill out of the bin. Although shaken, Ray keeps running and hides in the trunk of a parked car. The guard rushes outside but fails to find him. Speaking into his radio, the guard reports losing track of Ray and heads back inside. From his hiding spot, Ray notices a police patrol car leaving the hospital. He runs out, flags them down and hastily recounts his story. Starting with the stop, the gas station, he pleads with the officers to help him find his wife and daughter. The police check his documents and suggest they go inside the hospital to investigate further. Once inside, the security guard approaches the officers and claims Ray was behaving aggressively and irrationally, forcing them to administer a sedative earlier. The officers question Ray, asking when he last saw his family. Ray insists it was in room 9, pointing to the door. The officers ask the guard to lead them to the room. In the room, they meet a doctor who claims Ray came to the hospital alone to check a head injury and avoid answering further questions. Ray demands they call Dr. Bertram, who examine his daughter. The police then suggest checking the CT scan room. The doctor insists it is on the 3rd floor, but Ray argues he saw the elevator descend, indicating the CT room is downstairs. Despite his protests, the doctor leads them to the 3rd floor, where the CT scan room is located. However, the patient database contains no records of a scan being performed on Perry, and the times do not match Ray's account. While waiting for Dr. Bertram, a nurse brings in a crumpled sheet of paper she found in the trash. The paper states that Ray had registered himself for treatment. When Dr. Bertram arrives, he claims Ray came to the hospital alone, said he was in an accident, and behaved erratically. Bertram adds that Ray refused a head scan and sat in the waiting area, saying he was waiting for his wife, Abby. The police are confused and ask who Abby is, as Ray had spoken of his wife, Joan. It is revealed that Abby is Ray's deceased ex-wife. Ray insists she has nothing to do with the situation and accuses the hospital of using her name from his insurance policy to frame him. He claims they have kidnapped Joan and Perry. The security guard suggests reviewing surveillance footage, but the video only shows Ray. There is no trace of Joan or Perry. Ray begs the police to search the hospital, but they explain that without a warrant or solid evidence, they cannot proceed. Gradually, they begin to doubt Ray's mental state, suspecting his account may be the result of psychological instability. Dr. Bertram suddenly announces that someone has been found in the ward who can help clarify the situation. When Ray enters, he notices Perry's scarf on the bed, with bloodstains that immediately catch the police's attention. A psychotherapist approaches and offers to speak with Ray privately to help him piece together what happened. During their conversation, the psychotherapist asks Ray numerous probing questions about his family, including Perry, Joan and his late ex-wife Abby. She brings up his past struggles, such as his battle with alcoholism 8 years earlier. Gradually, she guides Ray toward the idea that his memories might be distorted. She then suggests they visit the site of the accident to help him recall the events more clearly. Arriving at the gas station with the police, another patrol car joins them with a search dog. The dog sniffs Perry's scarf and quickly heads toward the construction pit. There the dog finds Perry's compact and traces of blood. The psychotherapist questions Ray again about what happened. He insists he threw a rock to scare away a dog, while Perry stood near the edge of the pit. However, the psychotherapist suggests that there might not have been any dog at all, and Ray could have harmed his daughter in a fit of anger. She theorizes that Ray, in his rage, threw the rock at Perry and then attacked Joan when she tried to intervene. The psychotherapist convinces Ray that he fabricated everything he experienced at the hospital. She then asks him where he hid their bodies, but Ray remains silent. He is arrested on suspicion of murder At that moment, Ray spots the same dog he mentioned earlier and begins to believe his version of events is still true. Suddenly, Ray grabs a police officer's gun, takes the psychotherapist hostage, and locks everyone else inside the gas station building. Taking the psychotherapist's ID pass, he races back to the hospital. Using the pass, Ray enters the building, dons a medical gown, and heads toward the elevator. However, he realizes that accessing the required floor requires a key. Just then a security guard calls the elevator. Ray pulls him inside, threatens him with a gun and demands to be taken to his family. A struggle ensues, and the guard manages to knock the gun from Ray's hands. In desperation, Ray begins to strangle the guard until he passes out. Taking the guard's key, Ray descends to the floor he was trying to reach. Wandering the stark white hallways, Ray notices a tow given to Perry by hospital staff lying in a trash bin. He then sees two medical workers pushing a cart containing a refrigerator for organ transport. Following them, Ray enters a room where he discovers bodies with their organs removed. He also notices the woman who earlier suggested adding Perry to the organ donor list. Tracking her movements, Ray ends up in an operating room where he finds Perry on the table. Joan is also there, restrained in a wheelchair. At that moment, a nurse tries to flee, but Ray fires a shot, accidentally hitting a gas pipe. Joan reveals that both she and Perry were drugged. Ray frees his wife and daughter and tries to get them out of the hospital. However, one of the doctors attacks him, and during the struggle, Ray drops his gun. The medical staff attempts to inject him with an unknown substance, but Ray manages to retrieve his weapon and shoots a lamp, triggering an explosion due to the leaking oxygen. Amid the chaos, Ray carries Joan and Perry to the elevator. On their way out, two hospital staff members try to block their escape, claiming they cannot let them leave. Without hesitation, Ray shoots one of them in the knee and drives his family out of the hospital before the police arrive. It seems like the ordeal is over, and Ray has saved his family. However, as the camera shifts to the rearview mirror, we see that it is not Joan and Perry in the backseat, but a young man covered in blood. In reality, Perry died immediately after falling into the pit. When Joan realized this, she attacked Ray in rage, but he shoved her, causing her to hit her head on exposed rebar. Ray hid both bodies in the trunk of his car. Everything that happened afterward was merely an illusion created by his subconscious to shield him from the horrifying truth. And so the movie ends. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.